Hello, welcome to the Newspaper Review. It's Wednesday, the 5th of April 2023. Yes, the months are fast running by. We're already in the second quarter of this year, 2023, and a lot has gone down already. But for today, we're going to focus on taking the headlines across newspapers around Nigeria. That's what we do here on the Newspaper Review. My name is William Sabule, and with me right here is Natasha Brown.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Are you all right at all? How's your day
I'm
been?
okay, thank you.
All right, so we're going to go through the headlines together, and we'd like you to be a part of this by dropping your comments and the reactions on the comment section. We'd love to know what you think about these headlines we'll be reading to you shortly. So without wasting much time, let's jump into the papers and see what we've got. And we'll start with Vanguard newspaper for today, the 5th of April, 2023. And on Vanguard here, we have as headlines, alleged treason, stop harassing people. Ayo Adebanjo Alezu tells federal government. You find that story on page 4 of the Vanguard newspaper. We also see Tinubu presidency. Sanusi may return as CBN governor. Tinubu presidency. Sanusi may return as CBN governor. That you find on page 9 of the Vanguard newspaper. That would be interesting, though. That would be the first time we're seeing the CBN governor being repeated after one tenure out of Emefiele. We have Sanusi coming back. That would really amaze a lot of Nigerians, but we are crossing our fingers as Tinubu goes ahead to set up his cabinet. Moving on with other headlines here on the Vanguard, we see as the main headline, subsidy removal will set Nigeria on fire. NLC warns government, says incoming government should focus on local refining, not subsidy. Insists Labour won't accept fuel price hike in name of subsidy removal. Deregulation, not subsidy removal. Better for Nigeria oil marketers. Domestic refining of fuel critical, CPPE speaking there. All of that details you will find on page 5 of the Vanguard newspaper. Right under that, we see treason and campaign of calumny. Obi tells federal government, says allegations of federal government APC spokesman damaging Nigeria. Federal government wants Obi Dati against inciting violence, says their action tantamount to treason. You see that on page 25 of the Vanguard newspaper. All right. We have no power to track leak phone conversation. NCC speaking. Bandits insist on payment of 100 million naira ransom to free 56 abductees. Kill monarch. Others in Benue communities. Details is on page 6 of the Vanguard newspaper. Well, very, very interesting headlines here on the Vanguard. That of bandits demanding 100 million ransom to free 56 abductees. That is a very, very sad story coming on. We notice that these bandits are back with their operations.
So they've chosen to resurface. They just wanted to give us time to do the election.
Just maybe.
Useless set of
and then that
very useless set
it has also raised a lot of concerns as to whether could it be that these politicians are truly the sponsors of these bandits and they probably call them off action or duty so that they can focus them on other activities during the elections, or what is truly going on? That right now the activities are back and we see these abductions all over the place and killings plus demands of ransom. So if you're out there, please be careful because we're back to fighting these bad guys again. But one of the stories that really caught my attention is, of course, the main headline, that of the subsidy removal. It says here, subsidy removal will set Nigeria on fire. NLC is saying that. And what's your take generally? Because they are saying that, of course, what are the things that you have done to cushion the effect of subsidy before you think of even removing it? And they are of the opinion that, local refining and, rejigging of our oil refineries will be a better option than removing the subsidy. What's your take on this story generally?
Nigeria is in debt, like serious debt. We're not making money. We're not necessarily generating revenue for the country, and we are spending so much. So when you look at it from all those angles, subsidy removal is quite an advantage to us as a people. But when you also look at it from the other angle that the NLC is looking at it from, because there will now be fuel price hike.
Exactly.
There will now be a free market operations, in the sense that different fuel stations can choose to sell their fuel at whatever price that they choose to sell it, however that they go about refining it. So when you look at these angles, it's like, oh my God, are we back to square one again? Because Nigerians, it almost feels like Nigerians should not take any heat anymore. Like we have had enough.
Yeah.
Let everyone just breathe. But when we are looking at this whole subsidy removal, we have to look at it on both sides, right? The NLC is mostly coming on the back of, has the government been able to set in mitigating measures, that can be able to rightly ease Nigerians into this whole subsidy removal issue? Is it going to be done in phases, so that it's not just done once and then the boomerang effect hits Nigerians right front center in the face? So we look at that. We look at the fact that if there is fuel price hike, there also will probably be transportation hike as well.
Yeah.
And all of these are going to happen and have a boomerang effect. And if there's going to be transportation hike, there's going to likely be inflation in our foods.
Generally, yes.
Because these foods have to be transported from one place to another. So if I used to be able to transport crayfish from one end at 150,000 naira per truck, now it's likely going to be what? Maybe 180, maybe 200. I have to make that extra 50,000 naira back. So I'll put some money into what I'm producing.
Sure.
So the boomerang effect is there. It means that there will likely be another wave of inflation other than the one we have already experienced. And I'm not sure if Nigeria is ready for that yet. So looking at the other angles where we need to rejig our local refineries. And even with the whole bunkery issues we have, with the whole illegal refining,
oil theft and all of that.
when you look at it, these are people that, yes, they're doing it illegally, but can you now reincorporate those people legitimately, where let's understand how to work with this refining process and rightly scale it? So thereby gainfully employing those people at the end of the day. Because these people are basically refining oil at a cheaper cost, other than us, going out there to get our products, refined. So definitely looking at the angles of getting our refineries, up and running, not just the Dangote refinery. I mean, that cannot do the whole work. That cannot do the whole work. So I don't know why that has been the biggest issue so far. I mean, presidents have come, presidents have gone, subsidy is still an issue. Presidents have come, presidents have gone. Our refineries are still in dire situations. Is it that these things cannot be done? There was even a time that it was said that they were going through the process of, trying to rejig our refineries, especially the one in Port Harcourt, River State and all that. But nothing is happening. So who is lying to who? So at the end of the day, definitely I see the negative effects subsidy removal is going to have. But on the flip side, subsidy is the subsidizing of within the whole petroleum industry is expensive, very expensive, running into trillions. And yet we are looking on how to generate more money. So looking at it from both angles, I would rather that the presidency rightly thought through the whole process, and if need be that the subsidy has to be removed, then let it be done in phases, so that it doesn't just hit us right in the face. And even when it's done in phases, what are the measures you're going to take in place to make sure that at least our other refineries are up and running, and then we don't have to revisit this whole subsidy removal again, whereby, okay, so marketers, they come up and they say, oh, we can't do this by ourselves and all of that, and then federal government has to come back in to salvage the whole petroleum sector again. So hopefully a good measure comes out of this, and so far so good. I mean, the NLC, they're really putting their foot down to say that, we're for Nigerians this time around, and we need to do better by the citizenry. So I just hope for the best at the end of the day.
Subsidy removal will be of great advantage to our country, Nigeria, because of course the cost of subsidizing these petroleum products,
exporting
over
crude
these
products
years,
for refining
have
and all
really
that,
done has really not done so much good for us, even though, yes, we don't get to buy these products as expensive as some other countries do. But if the subsidy removal is not done rightly, it's still going to have a very adverse negative effect in our economy generally. And then the whole essence would have been defeated, because Nigerians will not even recognize that whatever was done was for their own good, rather. And then again, if we don't have responsible leaders that are really true to themselves, honest enough to say that these monies that we want to, put back into the system, we are going to truly put it back into the system and let it work for us Nigerians. Because it's one thing to remove subsidies, another thing for us to see this money work for us in our system.
And even most importantly, like transparency in the expenditures when it comes to our excess crude account is so important.
So all of that is what we are hoping that whichever government finally takes the bull by the horn to take out the subsidy, will surely do the right thing and have it done the right way. Because I don't think, like you rightly said, Nigerians are ready to go through another phase of pressure, because in the last
another wave of inflation, another wave of
it's been happening. It's been happening, and I mean it's crazy. So I think I agree with the Labour Party when they say, okay, don't remove subsidy in June as you're planning. Do something different. Now, I'm not saying that they shouldn't remove it, even though they would remove it, or they should remove it at some point. Proper measures, palliative
measures
should be put in place to ease,
to cushion the effect.
Yes, to cushion the effect, because if it comes just like that, I'm sure there's going to be a pushback, and we don't need that at this time. We're just barely recovering from the election and all of the drama that ensued. So cash crunch,
fuel,
plenty
transportation
things.
hike.
We don't need that. Let's have a breather for once, and then we see the new government coming, and then we are going to subsidy removal. Well, it's a good thing for Nigerians, but let's have a proper plan for the removal of that subsidy. All right, so moving on, let's go to our next paper for the day, and that will be Daily Sun for today, the 5th of April. And on Daily Sun here, we have as headline, 10th Senate, Southeast, South groups intensify campaign for Kalu Akpabio. Izanoso meets Buhari, says he deserves position as oldest APC senator from Eastern region. We also see here as the main headline here, federal government Obi trade words over treason allegation. Lai Mohammed accuses LP candidate, running mate of inciting insurrection. Your claims malicious, fictitious, replies Obi. We also see here election materials will follow due process. INEC tells PDP, APC urges political parties to inspect election materials in local governments. You see that on page 27 of the Daily Sun newspaper. Moving downwards, Soyinka flays attack on non-indigens in Lagos. Faults Dati Ahmed's comment on Tinubu. You see that on page 26 of the Daily Sun newspaper. And lastly, I'll take this one. It says here, Jonathan Governors Ohaneze orders pay tribute to late Kalu's wife. Stories on page 26 of the Daily Sun newspaper. All right, Natasha, let's go to this, Obi and the federal government story. It's been trending since yesterday when finally Peter Obi responded to comments made by Lai Mohammed, the information minister, somewhere in the US during a press conference. And we saw Obi responding to that comment with a tweet yesterday. And that tweet has, of course, brought a lot of reactions. And here, this paper takes that headline as federal government to be trade words over treason allegation. And we also see here Lai Mohammed accuses LP candidate, running mate of inciting insurrection. If you have been following the news, I'll just go ahead and ask you, do you see Obi and Dati being desperate and also thereby, making commentaries that could cause or incite insurrection? What's your comments? What's your take?
I think, first of all, it is not wrong for you to take the necessary measures if you feel that you were your mandate was stolen, it's not wrong. I mean, they outrightly said to him, go to court. That's what he's doing.
Yes.
You know, and now they're saying, oh, you're in court, insurrectionist, treason, and all of that. Come on. At the end of the day, what do you want? Could it be that the case is beginning to get some headway? So you're just trying to rally around some kind of smear campaign to douse the whole process.
Oh no, but then
that is ongoing already.
Sorry to cut you. But then they are reacting to Ahmed Dati's interview on Channels TV, where he was speaking and saying that if they swear in Bola
it's the death of democracy.
Yes, and all of that. So they are reacting to that story, one. And then also, I don't know if Lai Mohammed actually said what he said on the background of the phone call conversation that Obi had with Bishop Oyedepo. I don't know if that's all they are saying, that Obi is being, committing treason. I don't know. But then they are practically pointing fingers at Obi and Dati Ahmed of making very insightful comments, and thereby, threatening the nation with insurrection.
Well, I mean, Peter Obi has always been a man of peace. I think he has done so much to be able to get his followers to calm down.
Yeah.
There was going to be a protest at the court. He stopped it, told them to adjourn the whole process. There was going to be some massive protest as well on ground.
Yeah.
He told the obedience to calm down. So he's been trying to put up measures, to say, you people calm down. I'll go through the legal process and I will restore our mandate back to us that was stolen. So I do not see him being an insurrectionist. But yeah, I can understand where the statement that Dati made would be a little bit insightful, where you make a statement such as, if the newly elected president, if he is sworn in on May 29th, as president, that's going to be the death of democracy. So you simply say a word, but on the flip side, it resonates in different ways in the minds of people. Understanding that people are gullible, and then people are also emotionally charged as well.
At this time,
So when people begin to feel like their democratic rights are going to be threatened, they will react in different ways.
Yeah.
They'll react in different ways. So I would say that his statement might have been, it might have come from a place of innocence and a place of hurt, because our mandate was stolen.
True.
But on the flip side, the larger populace would interpret your statement in different measures. And when you outrightly make it look like the newly elected president rigged his way through into the process, and if we're going to put such a man into the seat, that means we're not necessarily being a democratic state. It's more like an autocratic state, because the word has always been that this man forced himself on the people. Bat forced himself on the people. The people did not want you, but you forced yourself on the people. That's an autocratic style, like a tyranny type of thing. And that's not how we operate in Nigeria. Nigeria is meant to be a democratic society. So when I look at all those angles, on one side, it's not an insurrection. It's not trying to incite people. You're just basically stating the fact that our mandate was stolen, and the way that you got your position as a top tier number one officer of the country is not right. It's not the right way. I mean, so on what moral grounds will you be able to rule the country or lead the country right? You don't have any moral grounds, so to speak. But on the flip side, people will interpret your words in different ways, especially when it's a direct attack on the federal government. Do you get what I mean? So I look at all of that, and I wish, Dati had soft-pedaled a bit, but still it's not that glaring for them to call it a treasonable offense or a treason. Come on. It's not that glaring.
All right.
Lie is basically blowing things out of proportion. That's why I basically still said it's still politicking to run a smear campaign on the whole on Peter Obi and his running mates, so that they what's the word? Reduce the whole legitimacy
water down
the whole legitimacy of the court proceedings. Okay. So I mean that's how I look at it.
It's a good thing that Peter Obi came out with that statement to try to make a counter statement as to what Lai Mohammed had said, because it's only normal for him to have done that, because for Lai Mohammed, a member of the current executive, to come out and say that Peter Obi is making insightful statements and that they are looking at him and all of that. It's just good for him to come and clear his name. And then, of course, we know that a lot of people have frowned at Dati Ahmed's comments. But, of course, I want to think that at this point in time, he must have learned from some of the things he has said. But what is important is that Nigerians are still very calm, and then we're watching Peter Obi and his running mate go through the legal process in finding or seeking answers to most of their questions. All right, that's all we'll take right now on the Daily Sun newspaper. Let's take a short break. Once we come back, we will delve into our last paper for the day. You stay tuned, and don't forget to also drop your comments and your reactions on the comment section. We'd love to hear from you.
Hey there, are you looking to record your videos, do your voiceovers, and take...
Thank you for staying with us right here on the Newspaper Review. We're still checking out the headlines across newspapers around Nigeria. I want to thank you so much for staying tuned. If you haven't subscribed to this channel yet, please do well to subscribe by clicking on the subscribe button, and also turn on your notification, because it helps you get notified whenever we come up with a new episode of the program. All right, let's take our last paper for today, and that will be Nigerian Tribune. Let's jump into what the headlines looks like here. It says media groups slam NBC over 5 million naira fine on Channels TV. You find that story on page 8 of the Nigerian Tribune. Court orders interim forfeiture of ex-Nimasa's DG's 725 million naira Banana Island property. You find story on page 8 of the Nigerian Tribune. We're moving on to the main headline here. It says, treason allegations, Obi knocks lie Mohammed. Your accusation malicious, fictitious, he says, as minister accuses him of treason, inviting insurrection. Says INEC withheld uploading presidential results on suspicion of cyber attack. NCC denies tracking, leaking Obi's phone conversation with Oyedepo. You find that story on page 21 of the Nigerian Tribune newspaper. Let's see what other headlines are saying here. We see National Assembly presiding officers, APC governors meet today. National Central governors will settle for consensus on speakership. Kwara governor, Southwest APC leaders, Northern governor pushing for Tajuddin as rep speaker. Only zoning can stop me from race. Kwara rep Olawuyi speaking there. We also see here, reps condemn calls for interim government. Query why Obasanjo Dati were not questioned. We also see, finally, I'll take this one. It says Adamawa PDP insists on REC removal. Says Adamawa people will never surrender mandate. We find story on page 26 of the Nigerian Tribune. And lastly, let me take this one. It says, in historic arraignment, Trump pleads not guilty to 34 felony charges. In historic arraignment, Trump pleads not guilty to 34 felony charges. Very interesting. We also see a picture of former U.S. President there, Donald Trump, surrounded by his lawyers in court. Well, that story made the rounds yesterday when he, went to the court for his formal arraignment. And, it's been a wonder to a lot of people around the world that, if finally a former U.S. president, will be charged to court for some sort of, illegality and all of that. What's your take generally?
First of all, it's historic, obviously, because, he's one of the first presidents, over many years, to have gotten to this stage of arraignment. Some of them, they've had, indictments, they've had allegations, they've had court proceedings and all of that, but it's never gotten to the point of arraignment or arrest. So he's actually one of many, first of many. But at the end of the day, my thoughts are, could this actually be witch hunting like he always does tout it to be? Personally, I think it's witch hunting anyway. Yes, I personally think it's witch hunting because, he's coming up for presidency again come 2024. So far, he has been able to raise, I think, $7 million already, fundraising and all of that. And then all of the stories out. Now, the crux of it really happened during that whole Capitol riot, where it was said that he incited such violence. And that was why the people came out en masse, you know, to the Capitol Hill, and they, you know, wreaked havoc, you know, as they did. And then there's the case of, you know, taking classified documents out of the White House to his Mar-a-Lago estate. And also there's the Stormy Daniels issue, you know, having to have paid hush money, I think over $130,000 or thereabout to Stormy Daniels, you know, hush money as per soliciting for sex, you know, and then some other people, you know, there's the case of, you know, sexual harassment and all of that. But amidst all that they've said, the crux of the matter that they're holding in by the throat on, even though there's also the part of tax evasion and not totally declaring his assets, is the Stormy Daniels issue, you know, where you solicited, you know, for sex from a prostitute, from a porn star, anyway, and you know, that seems to be the crux of the matter.
And then you had to lie about how you paid money, you know, to this
but at the end of the day, I know that there have been presidents that have done worse. That have been accused of worse. They have had worse allegations on them, and I don't know why it all had to culminate on Donald Trump. You know, why he had to be like the goose, the golden goose out of the many to be arraigned. But this is a case that I'm interested in, and I'm following through to actually see how it pans out. He has already made his statement. He has already pled not guilty to all of the charges that were put up there. I'm really, really intent on seeing how this turns out. I mean, at the end of the day, if he still is released and they could not really hold him down or press him down, oh man, 2024 is going to be humongously dramatic, you know, with the whole American election. So I'm looking forward to that. I've always been a fan of him, though, but I know that he has some antecedents, he has some issues, character flaws, and all of that. I mean, but a lot of presidents did have their issue. I mean, Bill Clinton had his own issue with his secretary. I mean, in fact, a lot of them even have
Monica Lewinsky story.
A lot of them even have I'm sure a lot of them have skeletons in the closet. I mean, especially when it comes to soliciting for sex from all these prostitutes and all that. But I mean, who am I to say that?
What is it with these presidents?
But at the end of the day, I'm interested in this case. I'm interested in seeing how it goes. It hurts me that he actually is going to he's actually going to be arrested and all of that. But I'm intent on seeing how this goes, because I don't think that there's also the case of, you know, you know, what's the word? Extorting Ukraine, you know, and all that, working with the Russians, a lot of things.
Plenty of allegations
that are not very concretely evidential based, you know. So I'm really, really intent on seeing what his lawyers get to do with all this information. I'm intent on seeing the aftermath of this, and also, I mean, there are Trumpists everywhere, Trump fans everywhere. I hope that it doesn't denigrate into violence. I mean, I think yesterday there was even a protest, you know, by Marjorie Greene and some other people. I hope that it doesn't go, it doesn't take a wrong turn, you know, at the end of the day. But let's see how it goes. But for me personally, I really do think there's a lot of witch hunting in there, even though some allegations are rightfully glaring in the face. But I think on the larger scale, it's witch hunting. It's just like when they're talking about right here in Nigeria, you know, Datsi and Peter Obi, you know, and comments, you know, relating to like a treasonable offense.
Meanwhile, we've seen other politicians
at the end of the day, I know that it's just a ploy. It's a tactic, smear campaign, you know, to douse the whole court proceedings. But I'm interested in seeing how all of these things go. So,
thank you very much. And we are also watching, and we're following that story. We see where it takes us to. We hope that, of course, it doesn't get worse than what we're already seeing. But of course, Donald Trump has made history, being the first U.S. president to be indicted and, of course, charged to court, arraigned in court. And of course, we continue to monitor that story as it progresses. I want to thank you so much, Natasha, for joining me today here on the Newspaper Review. And to our viewers, thank you. You guys are the real MVPs. Thank you so much for staying with us up to this time. But unfortunately, this is where we're going to draw the curtains for today. Until next time, we'll come your way again. My name is William Sabule, and this has been the Newspaper Review here on Top TV. See you next time.